Hello and welcome to the Asian Agribiz podcast series. I'm Rajeswari Ramani. Pig industries around Asia are modernizing, albeit at different rates. One thing is certain, pig producers are always looking for ways to boost productivity, including new and innovative technologies. Today, Asian Pork Magazine editor Isa Tan is speaking with Hans Hoevink, Business Development Manager for Southeast Asia at Nedap Livestock Management, to talk about one of these technologies.
Hello, Hans. Thank you for joining us today. As you know, many Asian pig producers are now more open to try innovative technologies to enhance their efficiencies and profitability. One of these technologies is electronic sow feeding, or ESF, which, although widely used in Western countries, are still uncommon in Asia.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to explain about Nedap sow sense and in special the use of electronic sow feeding. It is an individual sow feeding systems for gestation sows. The unique about this system is that we are using an RFID number what will be implemented into the ear where we can feed the sow individually based on a feed curve. The sows with the electronic ear tag will enter the feed station and will be received the exact amount of feed what is required for their pregnancy stage. The feed will drop in small portions in the trough, so it will not overflow the feed in the trough. The sow will stay in the feed station until she decides to leave or finish her whole ration in the feed station. After she leaving the feed station, she will pass an automatic weighing scale where we can automatically monitoring the daily condition of every individual sow. After she have finished the corridor, she will move back into the group housing system with all her friends, partners, animals, and they will be in a group housing system with between the 50 and 60 sows per feed system. We can also multiply the stations, the feed systems, and can handle a maximum of 360 sows per pen.
What are the advantages and benefits of ESF? Why should pig producers use this technology?
The advantages of using sow sense or electronic sow feeding is that basically because of individual feeding, individual sow feeding, every sow will get the right amount of feed during her gestation period. This means that we can reduce the amount of feed per sow. This can go up to 10 to 15% per gestation sows in gestation house. Also, when we feed them on an optimum way, we see that the sows are more healthier and we can reduce the amount of antibiotics. Also, we see that the sows are performing much better because they are in a perfect condition and they will lead to a higher production and higher birth weight of the piglets during gestation. Also, when we are implementing automatic feeding station with the ESF, we can reduce the labor on the farm in the gestation. You can imagine you don't have to change any dispensers anymore because the feed curve is linked to the computer automatically and will feed automatically day by day, sow by sow individually. Also very important is in the future the demand of the customers for animal welfare. Keeping sows in groups will be more and more important and will give a benefit for marketing your meat on the market. Last but not least, with this electronic sow feeding and having all this data of individual sows, we can have an optimum data overview of every individual animal, but also on a farm, but also on multiple sites. We're creating data and knowing exactly what's going on the farm.
While there are producers in Asia that have embraced innovative feeding technologies, most remain reluctant to do so in part because they worry about costs. Does investing in such technologies require huge investment?
The investment on this kind of equipment would be more or less equal or can be compared with the traditional way of keeping the sows. We think as Nedap that the traditional way of sows will be banned or will be disappear in the next couple of years or decades. Because with the automatic feeding system you have more data, you have a better condition of the sows, and you will have also saving on feed costs. So when you look at the sows quality and return on investment on the sows, we talk about between the 3 and 4 years on return on investment, depending on management, on feed, on genetics, but also the general structure of the farm. Basically, we have to, the farm itself will improve their productivity, what will lead to a better return on investment, and in that it is value to invest in these kinds of systems.
Hans, does the farm have to be a certain size for ESF to be cost effective?
When we are implementing our system we can implement it into small farms from let's say 250 to 300 to 500 sows into large integrators, what we see in Southeast Asia. For us, the system has to be scalable and has to be implemented for any kind of farm. So from 500 sows to multiply units of 5,000 sows. It has to be the group size, the limited factor is the group size per pen, what can be maximum of 300 sows, 360 sows per pen. But you can have multiplied pens, you can have multiplied buildings. We are able with our system, because we are using cloud-based services, that all the data, it doesn't matter how much, can be stored in the cloud and will be secure. So also moving from traditional sows into electronic sow feeding, we can redesign existing buildings, or we can implement it into the new buildings. So also for small farms, large farms, or existing farms or new farms, all our system has to be, it has to be possible to implement it to any kind of farming.
Is this technology something that can be taken piecemeal, or do producers have to invest in an entire system? Will farm workers need to be specially trained to operate this?
To change from a traditional way of putting the sows in stalls into group housing system, we mostly do the gestation from 4 weeks of pregnancy, put them into group housing system. The only way to be successful in that case is doing the whole farm, the whole structure. Piece by piece will be very difficult, because you have to train your animals all the time. They need to know and need to learn how the system is working. During installation of our system, we will also having an application manager to train the workers to be so they can use the system on a proper way and knowing what's going on. Also with the new technology, we give the farm manager the possibility to check the operation from outside the farm with the newest technology by using apps, tablets, or smartphones.
Will running such a feeding system require changes in the way feed is prepared or formulated, and how it's brought to barns and the animals?
Basically, the feed ration what we are giving to the sows, the quantity, the quality of feed must be more or less perfect. The quantity of feed is based on the needs of the sows. You can imagine a first parity sow will have a different amount of feed as a fourth or fifth parity sow. When we are putting the sows into our system, we are developing a feed curve during the whole gestation area. What will be the amount of feed they will need during their during their gestation period. So there's no need to change the ration of the quality of feed, but it's important to have the right feeding curve for an individual sow.
As you know, there are already companies like Betagrow in Thailand which have embraced ESF. How do you see the future of ESF and similar or related technologies in Asia? Do you see faster acceptance?
Well, one of the future issues what we see in many countries around the world is that animal welfare will be more and more important. Not only for the consumer who will demand animal welfare treated meat, but also for animals. With implementing such kinds of systems, we see that animals are more healthier, need less antibiotics, and will perform better. With the growing world population, especially the pork consumption in Asia, we need to be able to produce a better and more sustainable piece of meat with a lower production cost. So saving feed, saving labor will lower your production cost. So we see a very bright future for our system and think that using our kinds of system will be implemented on a faster way because it will help us to feed the world.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Hans, and enlightening us about this technology.
Yes, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for broadcasting the first Nedap to explain about Nedap electronic sow feeding. Again, thank you for all joining and listening to the story. And I'm looking forward to hear from you so we can work together on make your farm future proof. Thank you very much.
As you've just heard, electronic sow feeding has many benefits that isn't just limited to enhancing sow productivity. While it may not yet be popular in Asia, that may not be the case for long as companies start to take notice. Read our feature story on Betagrow in the May-June 2021 issue of Asian Pork magazine to learn how adopting this technology has benefited the company's pig operations. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Visit www.asian-agribiz.com to download this and our other podcasts and get more information about Asia's animal protein industry. You can also subscribe to the Asian Agribiz channel via Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Once again, this is Rajeswari Ramani saying thanks and inviting you to join us in our future podcasts.